It's the day before Sunday. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. That means one thing. It's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Saturday again. Gosh, it comes around fast. And this is one of those surprising weekends which has only got 2 days in it. Just a Saturday and a Sunday. We've got to go to work on Monday. I know, what's going on? But that doesn't matter because we're going to make the most of it. And what better way to start your weekend with a little magic review show from here on the boat that rocks. It's been rocking far too much last night. But yeah, I'm here. And this is going to be a much shorter show, hopefully, than last week. I overran. I'm trying to get these down to just sort of 30 minutes. Just a nice little thing so you to have your cup of coffee over. So put the kettle on, put your feet up, and just enjoy the show. Yep. First up, I have got a book by John Graham. It's called Encore. Yes, this is Encore. Is it a book? Or is it a booklet? Or is it a sort of pamphlet? Or a leaflet? Or a flyer, perhaps? I don't know. It's 35 pages long. Just 35 pages long. For $28.99, I believe it is. 35 pages. You're pretty much paying almost, well, it's less than £1 a page, I suppose. And it's his card. It's a card trick. Yeah. So it is very short. I don't know why. So John Graham, he had Stage by Stage, a book out last year, which was 60 quid and a nice big book. Well worth the money, and he said that this didn't fit in, which I find hard to believe. So I guess they actually genuinely thought that this was worth putting together as a solo project, and it's worth $28.99. It's basically a multiple selection routine, which, if you don't know multiple selection, you have sort of 3 to 10 people usually select a card, they sign the card, they get returned to the deck, they get lost in the deck, and you find them one by one in increasingly dramatic ways. And normally, you know, there's some tricky controls involved, and there's big dramatic sleight of hands, the hot shot cuts, and all of that finger flicking to make the appearances of their cards really dramatic and exciting, and for it to build. This is different, and this has taken me on a bit of a roller coaster of emotions, really, in a way, because I then opened it up, and it's all very nice inside. I'll show you that in a minute, but the actual routine is made up of 5 tricks from other people that have been previously published. So you've got stuff by Anneman and Al Leach and Bill Simon and others. So from that point of view, I was a bit like, well, it's just collected 6 tricks of other people and then stuck them in a book and charging money for it. You could have just written down, look, here's the routines, do them in a line, and you'll be fine. Yeah, so bit shocked, bit disappointed, but then I read it, and I got really, really excited, because what this is, so this is, yes, it's a multiple selection routine, but it's different to others. All of the cards aren't picked to start off with; they get picked as the routine goes on. So you have one card selected and you find it. You then have 2 more cards selected and you find those plus the first card. You then have another card selected and you find that card plus the other 3 cards, and so on for 6 cards. Now, that may not sound like a big shake-up, but what it does is it makes it really modular. So that means you could do this trick for 1 or 6 people, or any of the numbers in between. So you could just do the first trick, which I think is the Anneman trick, which is a perfectly good trick, well worth knowing. So it's a collection of 6 really good tricks. So they are really good card tricks, and you don't have to do all 6 of them. So you could just do the first trick, you could just do the Anneman trick, and Bob's your uncle. If you've got 3 people, then you could just do the Anneman trick followed by the Bill Simon trick. Absolutely fine. If you've got 6 people, do all of them. But also, that means if you're interrupted at any point, if the food arrives or the doorbell rings or whatever, you don't have to, you haven't sort of got left 4 people not having their card selected at any point. You just don't, it always ends. Every phase has this ending. So it's really good. It's really good. It's really clever. It's really smart thinking. It is a routine that is just brilliant. It is a really, really good card routine. Like I say, it's 5 tricks put together by other people, plus a revelation, a sort of more of a stunning classic multiple selection ending at the end. It's easy to do. I think the worst bit, so you've got a few basics, like the Pharaoh word is mentioned. And yes, that word that hits people hard in the gut. But you don't actually have to do a perfect Pharaoh. All you have to do is essentially Pharaoh the top 5 cards completely. The rest of the block can be a mishmash. You don't have to cut accurately into 26 cards or anything like that. So it's not a Pharaoh shuffle as such, but there is an element of Pharaohing. And if you can't do the top 5 cards, you can pick that up very easily. It's nothing. Really wish I hadn't mentioned it. But yeah, so what I really like about it is that it just builds and you can perform it for as many people as you like. And it flows nicely. It's really well written. It's incredibly well written. And the illustrations are terrific. And there's a little bit of the patter included, not too much. I mean, it's pretty much self-explanatory. And really, this is the sort of trick where you're interacting with your audience more on a personal level. I think really, you don't, it's not one that you're not necessarily going to be filling it with lots of gags or anything like that. And it's a lovely little book. It is completely overproduced. It's hard to, two ways they could have gone with this. They could have stapled it together as a little booklet and sold it for a tenner, or they could have overproduced it as they have and charged $28.99 for it. I think it's better off for the $28.99. This is well worth learning. You learn a nice few basic card moves in here. You'll get a lovely full act routine. You got good 8 minutes of card magic. Plus, you've got the individual tricks if you just want to do them individually. You can do it at any moment. It's great, really. Suddenly, I've gone to saying it's value for money. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? There's no reason for it to look anything like this. Could just be a PDF. But I kind of appreciated it. I guess probably it's one of these rare moments where the content does actually deserve to be wrapped up very nicely and packaged very nicely. A lovely book, lovely pieces of card magic, and I'd encourage anyone, no matter, even if a beginner can do this, you just pick it up and you'll learn it. There's nothing difficult in here, and for $28.99, it's almost a steal. And now, next up in the hot seat is The Ring Swing Thing by Sirus. Yes, there it is. The Ring Swing Thing by Sirus Magic. I've met Sirus a few times. He's a lovely, quirky chap. Is Sirus, and this is really interesting for me because I knew this as a rope trick, a ring and rope routine when I first came across it. I think either John Derris may have showed it to me. I think maybe Jack Delvin. I don't know. Anyway, and so yeah, I used to know it as a ring on rope with a harness ring and a proper piece of rope. Sirus apparently has always known it as a little puzzle with a chain and a smaller ring. So, and that's what he's produced here. But he's taken it from a puzzle into a really good piece of magic, a 4-phase magic routine. And he's taken the basic move, the basic method. He teaches it really, really well on his tutorial. He's taken it and he's combined it So normally it's just the linking. Normally the ring just links, and that is a powerful moment of magic. It's quite a shocker for the layperson when a ring that clearly isn't connected to a chain suddenly is, and they can examine all these props. These props are completely normal and regular. He then uses sort of rubber band moves to unlink it back off the chain, which is really nice. Especially there's one where the spectator can hold the ring, and you've clearly got the chain going through the ring, and you pull it through, so they can feel it. There's that tension there. They can almost feel it melt through or force its way through the ring. Brilliant. Really good phase. And then there's a final phase where the spectator can actually do the magic themselves, despite not knowing quite how it works. What I will say is it's $28.99, and these props certainly aren't worth $28.99. You wouldn't pay $28.99. I think you could probably put them together for £1. You get a ring which Sirus says is weighted just perfectly, so this will work every time, and you get a dog chain, which is very similar to something that your plug might hang on. Basically, thanks to Sirus's expert teaching, you can pretty much do this every time. It's really accurate. So there is a knack to it that I don't think Jack taught me quite as well, or John. I can't remember which one of you it was. But Sirus's teaching is really clear, and he goes through it quite a lot, and that means that you'll always get it linked on properly. And then he teaches the sort of the rubber band moves and everything else after that. And yeah, it's just him. There's no fancy studio or anything like that. So it could, I mean, production values on could have been better, but what he's saying and what you can see is perfectly good, and will get you doing that in no time, really. I would practice it over a sofa or a cushion or something, because you will drop the ring a few times. The only real thing is the fact that I just wish these were nicer, because he says it's the perfect everyday carry, and in many ways it is, because you can wear it. You can simply just, no, you can't. Well, you know what I mean. Probably not like this. You can wear it, but would you? Is this the sort of thing you'd normally have? It's not the sort of thing I'd normally be wearing. I just wish perhaps this was a nicer chain and the ring was nicer, so it would feel more like a proper piece of jewelry. Might just be more powerful, but yeah. But other than that, it is for a 4-phase routine that's easy to do. There's just that one little knacky move and a few elastic band moves. The elastic band moves are actually easier with this, I find, than with elastic bands, because this chain doesn't want to ping halfway across the room. So for $28.99, it is an easy everyday carry. It's not a card trick. Like I say, when that ring first drops onto the chain, it's a jaw-dropping moment, and then when it melts through on the 3rd phase, that again just gets the wows and the gasps. So congratulations, Sirus. I really like it. It is $28.99, and it's great. I might even go looking for fancier props. And next up we have Hook by Eric Ross. Yes, it's a routine from a long time ago. It's like a bank night. It's a bank night routine. It's like a bottle smashing routine. It's like a stab and grab routine, but you've got this 3-pronged barbed fishing hook in your mouth. You've got these strings, one of which is tied to that hook, coming out of your mouth, and you get a spectator to give them a good yank. They get a free choice. They can choose anyone they like. They yank the hook out, and they yank the string out. Hopefully they don't yank the hook out. They yank the string out, and then you reveal that you've got the hook on the end, and they could have done something very nasty to your face. It is one of those, it's a trick that is full of danger. It is full of tension. It's really, really powerful. It is a very, very good trick. Does have a few minor points. So when it first came out, it was £75. I paid that much for it back then, and it was in my. I only performed it a couple of times. It didn't quite fit my act, because it sort of, people weren't sure whether I was joking or whether I was serious, and so they weren't sure how to react to it. But it is a genuinely great trick. So that was it. Yeah, it was £75. It's now only £25, I think, even £20, which is much more reasonable for what you get. So even back then, you don't really get a lot for your money. It's very similar to Ring Swing Thing and even Encore, in the fact that what you actually receive doesn't look much, but it enables you to do something truly great. So it's one of the sum of the parts. What's the saying? What is it? It's more than the sum of its parts. It's a fun routine. It is safe. You've got to set it up properly. So, make sure you watch the instructions. But it's very hard to get it wrong. I can't believe you can't really get it wrong. And so it's a very safe stab routine, and it's fun, and it plays big, and the string can be different colors if you're on stage, and you could have tags on them saying different things. So there's a lot of imagination you can put into it. You can add a lot of your own personality into it. And also, especially if you're doing a stage show, quite often you've got lots of big props. This thing just fits in a little tin, and yeah, it's pretty much, it can be 6-8 minutes of routine for that little tin and for that £20. So it's now become a bargain. It's probably, it should really be a little bit more for the idea. The idea is, and the method is definitely worth more than £20. Props, not so much. And yeah, it's great. It's 20 quid or 19.99. Next, we've got something by Wayne Fox, who's got the light heavy pen. Yes, it's a strange one, this. It's something that I know very, very little about. And not pens. I know quite a bit about pens. I lose them all the time. But this is a routine where you give someone a Sharpie and it gets heavier in their hand to the point that they can no longer hold it anymore. Their arm will drop down. They'll drop the pen. Great, powerful stuff. He also teaches, it's called the hand stick, apparently, where they put the hand on the table or on someone else. You put the pen on top and they can't lift their hand up.
Your hand down for me. Hey, control. There, watching, comes down. Very slowly. Just try to lift your hand.
Oh my God, what is going on?
And it's stuck, right?
This is the sort of thing that I've always thought is beyond me anyway, but every time I've watched it, and I've been with people, and including magicians and lay people, and they find it fascinating. These sort of effects are really, really powerful. I don't know what it is. People can't understand them. And it does make it seem that you have genuine wizard, spooky, magical powers, that you've got something, that you're special in some way, that you're different, that you've got this, not skill, but power. Yes, superpower to make these objects feel heavy. And even if they don't think the object's getting heavy, you've got this superpower of getting inside someone's head, maybe, or fooling someone. I don't know what it is. It's a sort of strange genre of magic mixed with hypnotism, I suppose. And it's not something I've ever really thought I could do because of my stage character. But not just my stage character, actually. Sort of my real personality isn't one where I don't, I've got that sort of power of influence, or that sort of gravitas, or that sort of deep voice, the sort of McKenna hypnotizing voice. I've always considered that I just don't have it. And then watching Wayne's tutorial, he sort of convinced me to give it a go. I mean, what you do receive, basically, you receive a gimmick Sharpie, and that gimmick Sharpie helps you with the method, and the method is essentially, like I say, sort of suggestion slash sort of trance, very gateway hypnotism, and the gimmick helps you, but which is great. And it also brings it into close up. So this is the sort of effect I've seen often on stage. I've got a friend who does a foot stick on stage, and the person can't move and can't walk. Brilliant stuff. And I can hear in the audience how amazed they are that this is happening, and they've got no explanation for it. This brings that similar effect, but to close up and to walk around. And you don't have to do any of that sort of the classic testing of whether someone is sort of open to it. You know, they sort of do the hands clasped and you can't open them up. There's none of that sort of 15-minute preamble. You can pretty much possibly want to do a trick first to know what someone's personality is like. But with the gimmick, hopefully that speeds the process up. Apparently, like I say, I don't know a great deal about it, but I'm doing a review on it though. But listening to Wayne and how he talks, there's more to it than just what you say. But he doesn't necessarily give you exact words, but he'll give you the tone and where you want to be going with it. But also there's an element of how you position people, how they're holding things. It's a physical side to it as well. Then you're just sort of arranging them so that it'll work. You know, I'm guessing Wayne probably gets it 100% of the time. You're going to have to be prepared to fail a few times with this. It's not the sort of thing you're going to be getting nailed 100% of the time straight away. It's going to take some work. It's going to take a learning curve. It's going to take practice. And it's going to be a tricky thing to practice on friends and family because they know you haven't got any superpower, don't they? I mean, unless they've got superpowers. But so you're going to have to practice this on real people in the real world and just accept that you're going to fail probably a fair amount to start off with. But you know what? It's not so bad. And I think that's one of those terrifying things that we've got in magic of trying something new. We worry that we're going to mess it up. We worry we're going to give a secret away. We're scared to do it in case it all goes to pot. But you know what? The person you're performing it on probably doesn't give a monkeys. They hasn't changed their life. They're not going, I'm going to store that method, so next time if I ever see a magician again within the next 10 years, I'll know that's how it's done. They don't care. You've probably just, probably still entertained them for a couple of minutes, even if it hasn't worked. They've probably enjoyed themselves. So just give it a go. Any of your magic, just get it out, give it a go. Don't be scared to mess it up. It's not that important in the scheme of things. And if you get better at it, then suddenly you'll be entertaining people, and that'll be great. This is one of those things that I am pretty certain it's going to be a steep learning curve for me. But Wayne's teaching, again, much like Sirus, there's no flash studio, there's no big production. But Wayne really covers everything, and he explains it really well, and he's engaging himself, is Wayne, so it's very easy to watch, and you learn just so much, and you're sort of nodding along, perhaps he's suggesting that to me, going, okay, I get this, I think this is well within my grasp all of a sudden. I think it's a lot of fun as well, just to try it, just to give it a go. It's a good, interesting product. I think what people might be disappointed with this is the fact that the gimmick doesn't do everything for you in the way that there's no clever, gravity defying thing. There's no electromagnets. There's, it is literally you getting inside someone's head a little bit. Plus the slightly gimmicked pen. So I think if you think when you watch the trailer that by putting that pen on someone's hand, that's going to stop them lifting it, I'm afraid that's not the case. But it does help you convince them that they can't lift their hand. So yeah, if this is the sort of thing you'd like to get into, I think this is a really good gateway introduction to it before you start doing a massive hypnotism show or risking too much. Just grab this and you can give it a go on the fly anywhere you like. It is an everyday carry, isn't it? You just stick it in your pocket, and you can really learn and try it out. And for a starter, for a beginner, like me, he's always been slightly fascinated by this sort of routine. It's a terrific little product for that. If you're not willing to go through the trial and error process and the failing process, then best stay clear. Really interesting little product. $28.99, the Light Heavy Pet. I tried reading a book on self-hypnosis once, but it kept sending me to sleep. And next we've got one of my favourite new things, Double Take by Paul Richards. Yep, you get the gimmicks deck in here. Mine are all blue because I quite like the change from blue to red as opposed to the other way around, it saves you having to choose on options, doesn't it? It's a great colour changing deck routine. It's got several phases and there is nothing difficult to do. There's no hard sleights and the phases run really nicely. It's the flow of the routine. I think this is what Paul is so good at. The deck does 99% of it all for you.
Gamble at all? You do? What do you like to play?
Blackjack.
Oh, good choice. I love blackjack myself. If ever you're in a game, though, however, a blackjack game, and somebody comes up to you with a deck of cards that looks like this, I suggest you run the other direction. This is a mark deck. I know people don't normally tell you. This has got a tiny little blue spot on the back of the cards. That lets me know what the cards are as they pass by. It's hard to see, I admit, but it's marked in a second way. The second marking is these right here. You see that little 5 of hearts? That tells me that's the 5 of hearts. 2 5 of diamonds over here. You probably have seen these marks before, but it's the ones on the back that most people haven't seen, and that's the one I'll try to show you right now. As I'm going through, just touch a card for me, whatever one you like. 9 of hearts, and how about another one? You did that so well, how about just one more? The Jack of Spades. Three cards. Sometimes when there's less cards, it's easier to see the markings on the back. For example, you see the little blue spot there? It is hard to see, I admit, but I'll show you the technique. What you do is you stare right at the center of the card, and you kind of blur your eyes, squint just a little bit, and if you do a good enough job, I swear you're going to see a blue spot.
Okay.
You'll see it on the back of that card right there, and you'll see it, of course, on the back of this card right here, and, of course, you'd see it on the back of this card right here. But the truth is, if you're a gambler or a magician, it makes no sense to have a deck of cards in which just 3 cards are marked. What would make sense is if each and every one of the cards I was using were from a marked deck of cards. I mean, each and every one has that blue die on the back. Now, there is one problem. Let's say you're working for an educated audience. And what I mean by that is somebody who knows about a marked deck. If that occurs, they might come up to you and say, well, Paul, you're not much of a magician. You're not much of a gambler.
They'd be wrong.
Well, the truth is, they'd be right, because they know I'm using a marked deck, which is why for them, I never, ever use a marked deck of cards.
The visuals is just eye-popping at times, and it's really nice the way it's done with the selections and then the deck changes. It's just really well routined, and like I say, there's really no sleights in it. It's virtually a self-working, colour-changing deck routine. Very clever thinking, and I really enjoy it. I've been performing it. I've been trying to get a video of me doing it, but I haven't quite a chance yet. But it is, you can pick it up in no time. And if you want to do something that looks like you are really good with a deck of cards, but is actually self-working, this is definitely one to consider. And it's actually a completely bargain price as well. I think it is, again, just $19.99. Double Take, just $19.99. A great routine.
Let's go. But inconspicuously. Through the window.
I guess a lot of you probably finished your tea. Go and get yourself some cornflakes or some shreddies, and I shall be here at the same time next week. Until then, take care.